everyone hear me?
Yes.
How about now?
Yeah. Better.
Is that better? Not being from Florida, there's not a lot that I can talk about in terms of the various musical traditions that exist down here in terms of going back 200, 300 years. However, I am fortunate enough to be, I guess you can say, old enough to remember the very beginning of African Americans migrating toward practicing African religion. The fact is, it was a time early on that I personally either knew or knew of virtually every African American that had Orisha crowned in this country. Certainly that's not the case now. But we're talking about a religious practice that is amongst African Americans doesn't go back more than 50 years at the most. I think too that we need to understand before we really get very, very deep into this, why is it that these musical traditions are so important? And I just want to speak a little bit about too why African religions are important. And I think it goes beyond just the fact that these are the traditions of African people, and African people have the right to practice their indigenous beliefs. It goes back even much deeper than that, especially when we consider that in the North American corridor, from Florida up, the nature of slavery was to completely deculturalize the people, whereby they lost their language, they lost their religions, they lost all recognizable vestiges of their indigenous practices from wherever they came from. So the fact that we here in this information age have so many African Americans and so many people looking toward African religions, it's for me a tremendous sociological phenomenon that I think that we need to spend a little bit of time kind of talking about why this has happened, and what in fact is it that is calling people, or what of value people see to want to learn about these traditions. And then I kind of go into a little bit more about the music, because it was the music that actually kind of was the driver for my discovery of all of this. One of the things that I think that became very evident to me as I guess in my very early adolescence, that I was brought up in a Baptist household, and I felt somewhat of an affinity to the music, but when the preacher and the pastor started their dialogue, I felt no connection whatsoever. In fact, as I can remember being sent to a summer Sunday school, I think they called it Bible school back then, and I can remember being there for about 10 minutes and eventually getting down on my hands and knees and crawling out of the pew and out of the church, and never to return. And oddly enough, my mother never forced me to go back, and oddly enough, I never even looked back since then. However, one of the things, and I may be seemingly rambling, but hopefully I'll be able to tie this all together. Just want to give you a little bit of some of my history in terms of how I happened to personally migrate to some of this. I became fascinated. I had an older brother who was 10 years my senior, and he was very much into jazz, and back then this was probably in the middle to late 50s. He was listening to a lot of Dizzy Gillespie, and there was a conga drummer that played with Dizzy Gillespie. Some of you may recognize Chano Pozo, the name Chano Pozo. And I was always fascinated with the sound of that drum, and never knew exactly what it was, or what it looked like, or anything, but it was something about that fascinated me. And as I got older, and I could travel to downtown Philadelphia by myself, there was a music store by the name of Music City. And at that time, Music City was the only place in Philadelphia that actually imported conga drums and bongos from Cuba. And the way that the store